I've found a way to stay productive all day and never get tired. Now, these four productivity methods that I'm going to share with you have allowed me to achieve things in time frames that seem impossible, like running 2 marathons with 10 weeks of training. So, if you're like me, you have big ambitious goals and you want to achieve them quickly, then this video is going to be for you. First of all, what is productive? Okay, I can't just say I'm productive all day and not tell you what productive is. For me, being productive, doing something productive, is doing activities that are moving you in some way towards your goals. Okay, so when I'm saying being productive all day, what I mean is constantly doing something, doing things that are moving you towards your goals and being able to do that all day without getting tired. So these are the four productivity methods that I'm currently using that have helped me to stay productive all day without getting tired. Now, does this mean that I'm productive all day, every day? No. But it means that I can have days where I'm essentially productive from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, and I don't feel super exhausted after doing that. I can do that a few days in a row and not feel like I need a 2 week vacation. So, the first one, and probably the biggest one for me, is what I call energy cycling. So, what energy cycling is doing a task up until you are fatigued, you can't really do it anymore, and then switching tasks to something that burns on a different fuel. So, for example, if you spent, let's say, 4 hours doing deep work on your business, on your work, whatever that is, then at the end of that 4 hour period, you're probably pretty mentally exhausted. So, this might be a good opportunity for you to switch to something that requires a different form of energy, like your physical energy. So, if you spend that first 4 hours doing some sort of physical work, being productive on your business or on your work, then you switch for an hour or 2 hours to something that is physically challenging, right? Maybe you do a workout, maybe you go for a run, maybe you go for a hike, maybe you play some sport, but you're doing something that burns on a different fuel. So while you're recovering your mental energy, you're depleting your physical energy. So then after you're exhausted, after your workout or after your run, then you can go, okay, cool, but my mental energy is ready for me to go hit some more work, to get some more mental work done. All right. And then boom, you can have your little block and think, all right, I'm depleted now. Let me switch to something physically challenging. And when you're switching between a physically challenging activity and a mentally challenging activity, it's burning on different fuels, and you can actually manage to cycle between them and stay relatively productive all day. That's a big one I've found. Okay. So, for example, for me, I might get up in the morning, I might do 4 hours of work, and then I'll hit a workout for an hour, then I might do another few hours of work, then I might do a run, or I might do some work on a bike. And then after that, I might switch to learning Spanish, okay? Something that's also mentally challenging. Just switching it up between mentally challenging and physically challenging. Therefore, you're always fresh in one area, but you're always productive in another. The second one, while we're on the theme of cycling, is stimulant cycling. So we all know that when we take something like caffeine or nicotine, we're going to feel pretty energized, ready to actually get some work done. The problem with stimulants like caffeine or nicotine is A, you're probably going to build up a tolerance. So the same cup of coffee is going to be less effective if you've had it 5 days in a row than on the first day. Same with nicotine. So you're going to build up a tolerance, and a lot of people get addicted. They need to take it every day or they feel like crap. What I do is I cycle these things. So I'll do one day where I take a bit of caffeine, and then one day where I take a bit of nicotine through nicotine gum, and then I'll switch back and forth, one and the other. And what happens is I always have a very, very low sensitive tolerance to it. I never get addicted, but I'm always under the influence of some sort of stimulant that allows me to be more productive. But because I'm not having huge negative effects of being super addicted to caffeine and drinking it in the afternoon and affecting my sleep. Same thing with nicotine, being super addicted to nicotine. I don't have any of these addiction issues. I don't have any tolerance build up. So I can cycle between them, get the benefits of the substance while taking the least amount possible and not becoming dependent. So the stimulant cycling is just one of those that I've found to just get all of the benefits out of the stimulants without all those negative side effects, the negative consequences of taking stimulants too much or too regularly. The third one here is dopamine rewiring. You could call this dopamine detoxing, dopamine rewiring, whatever you want to call it, but removing things from my life that have provided huge amounts of dopamine but not moved me towards my goals means that my brain has to find new ways of receiving dopamine, of feeling good. And when you remove activities that are not moving you towards your goals and producing a lot of dopamine, your brain has to start deriving dopamine from activities that you're currently doing. And when you remove activities that are cheap, easy dopamine that are not moving you towards your goals, then all that's left for you to receive dopamine from is activities that are moving you towards your goals. So, for example, I completely replaced scrolling my phone with learning Spanish. I have comprehensible input that I watch, which is basically just Spanish videos that I can somewhat understand. So I'm constantly learning Spanish, but every time I want that cheap dopamine, rather than just scrolling TikTok or Instagram, I'm learning a bit of Spanish, right? I'm rewiring what my brain receives dopamine from to things that are productive, things that are moving me towards my goal. The same thing with working out. I find a huge amount of enjoyment. I get a huge amount of dopamine from working out because it's now something in my life that I receive a lot of dopamine from, that my brain feels good doing. It's a fun activity for me because I'm not contrasting it with these high dopamine, easy activities. My brain craves working out. I really want to actually do that thing, right? So whether that's learning a new language, whether that's working out, whether that's working on your business, whatever that is, now you start receiving high levels of dopamine from it. You actually enjoy doing it. It makes it very easy to do something if you actually truly want to do it. So rewiring my dopamine, rewiring my brain to actually start enjoying good activities rather than hating them, but just doing them because I have to, and really just craving and wanting to do all these cheap dopamine activities. Rewiring my brain to start to love, to want to do those things has been an absolute game changer. Probably the number one thing for helping me be more productive generally throughout the day. Number 4 here, and a very underlooked one, is just having proper sleep and nutrition. Getting good quality sleep in, not having a huge bank of sleep debt, not getting small, short, poor quality sleeps, getting proper night sleeps, having high quality sleep scores, absolute game changer for how you feel. When you feel good, when you have a lot of energy, very easy to make good decisions. When you're tired, lethargic, very easy to make bad decisions. So the sleep is a huge one. And for the nutrition as well. If I constantly have this crash from consuming a bunch of sugar, if I'm overweight, if I'm not feeling my best, it's much harder to make those good decisions, to do productive things. When I'm eating proper food that my body can digest, that I can use for energy, to grow, to be better, it's a lot easier to get stuff done. When I have the energy and I'm digesting food properly, I'm going to be able to make good decisions. If I'm constantly comatose by a post fast food crash, a sugar crash, very hard to actually do productive things, right? So the whole part of getting the diet and getting the sleep right, just getting the proper nutrition and sleep, is that it just gives you a lot more energy. And having more energy just allows you to do things that you want to do. Now, when you pair it with energy cycling, when you're cycling between mentally challenging and physically challenging activities, but you just have more stamina, you have more energy in general, it just makes it even easier. And it's a compounding effect. You have more energy, you're cycling it, you're benefiting from the stimulants without getting the negative consequences. Your brain is wired in a way that it enjoys doing difficult activities. When you combine these together, you're creating a perfect storm, which is very easy for you to actually do productive things. Now, do you have to be productive all the time? Every single minute of every single day? No, you don't. But this just allows you to be productive for longer without the bottleneck, without the restriction being your energy. If you want to get stuff done, be productive all day, by all means, go and do it. This will help you grow faster, get your goals quicker, but it doesn't mean that you have to always be switched on, always be dialed in. You just want this in your back pocket. You don't want the restriction to be your energy levels. That's why getting the sleep and nutrition right is great, as well as energy cycling. Stimulant cycling is just going to give you more energy as well. And the dopamine rewiring is just going to help you want to do those challenging things. So those are the 4 big productivity things that I'm doing to make sure that I can be productive all day if that's what I want to do. Guys, if you want to learn more about how I dopamine detox, how I rewire my brain to want to do challenging things, I have an entire course on exactly how you can remove all of this online entertainment without requiring willpower. I also cover things like stimulant cycling in a lot more depth. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description below. That's the end of the video. If you liked the video, that's what the like button's for. Subscribe to the channel. There's probably some videos around here that you might be interested in. So I'll see you in one of those.